Should be going now.
All right. I'm going to call the community development meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. October 14th, as permitted under the Executive Order 2020-07, which was signed by Governor Pritzker on Monday, March 16, 2020, in response to the COVID pandemic. Roll call. Alderman Cantelo.
Aye, here.
Alderman Alexander.
Here.
Alderman Mech.
Here.
Alderman Bilotto here. Alderman Hawley.
Here.
I think that's everybody, right?
Dexter, is it the other?
Dex, you there? Alderman Johnson.
Yep.
All right. Public comment. I received no public comment. Old business. We need a motion to approve the minutes. I sent them earlier. I sent them into September and I resent them back out again today. We need a motion to approve the minutes from September 9th.
I'll make a motion.
I second, Mike Mack.
Motion made by Alexander, second by Mech. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Under new business, discussion and approval for a business development grant program reimbursement for a Blue Island Beer Company for tuck pointing work, which was located at 13357 South Old Western Avenue. The building department attached the memo in our packets. They already completed their inspection, and they're recommending the reimbursement in the amount of $1,834.37. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mack.
Is there a second?
A second.
Hawley.
Second by Hawley. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any no? Motion carries. All right, Kim, I think you're up here. Discussion of City of Blue Island owned parking lots. Letter submitted by Kimberly Byrne, Chairman of the Blue Island Zoning Board of Appeals. This is just for discussion only. I know she already presented to the municipal, and I read the memo, read the letter. Other than a few notes, I think Kim already got the update about we already patrol the lots we own, maybe not efficiently and not correctly, which I would agree. But we have a system in place. Maybe this is to expand that system. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Byrne, if you would like to discuss the letter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman, my name is Kimberly Byrne. I'm the chairman of the Blue Island Zoning Board of Appeals and a Blue Island resident. I'm basically interested in discussing the city parking lots. One of the reasons I'm interested in discussing the city parking lots is as we continue to bring in new business into our city, one of the requirements of many businesses is their parking. How do they accommodate their customers? And as it turns out, our lovely corner on Western and Vermont seems to be gaining quite a lot of business, which is great. The downside is parking is becoming a big problem. And we haven't even added Ophelia's, which is a new business potentially taking over the Klein's building, which is going to add more parking needs. There's also another business that's should be opening at some point next to the Eagles parking lot. It's a coffee shop, I believe. They're going to need to use the city parking lot as well. So we've got quite a lot of business around that parking lot, but not really, maybe I would say, the best guidance in how to help coordinate that, and also how do we manage it at night? There's the Vault, there's Ravens, there's Crave, Eagles. So seems like we've become a night city as well as a day city, at least at this part of the city. And so parking has become an issue that I wanted to focus on from the Zoning Board of Appeals perspective. We've got businesses that are questioning that surround that parking lot, questioning how are we going to manage things. Currently, there are signs, I guess, in the morning, 6 to 10 a.m., where there's 1 hour parking. Commercial vehicles are not allowed to park there except for city vehicles. It does get use during the day. It's not overly used during the day, but with a coffee shop, I imagine that's going to increase. The banquets, which we are, Ophelia's banquets, which we're going to actually have come before the Zoning Board of Appeals on the next November meeting. And I'm proud to say that we now have hopefully a little fuller group who will be participating, because we've had to put that off for 2 meetings based on attendance. So I see our parking lots. The Harry's Long Bar is also a parking lot that is growing in usage, especially in the evenings. So I see us growing, and I see it getting worse instead of getting better. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. So what I wanted to propose was 2 sort of considerations. If we are using those parking lots, and most of the people who are using those parking lots, especially in the evenings, are likely out-of-towners. One way that I had thought that we could sort of benefit from, the additional business is consider charging for parking. Not during the day. It looks like we are allowing city business users to park in the parking lots for free. I don't see that our daytime is going to be an issue. It's the evenings that are becoming more of an issue. There at the Metro parking lot, there are these parking vending machines. I think that would be an easy addition, potentially short term, to addressing our parking needs. The city parking lot that we own half of, I see that a lot of people park there during the day. I think we're slow from the hospital standpoint, but that could pick up as well as we increase businesses in that part of the uptown area. If cannabis comes in, we're going to need a lot more parking that we don't currently have. So short term, I think as the need continues, it's an opportunity to place these parking vending machines on these parking lots and come up with policies and how to utilize that space, and also kind of get a cost sharing for those who use the parking lot, to provide us with some kind of benefit, financial benefit for the use of. That's also from a short-term perspective. From a long-term perspective, I envision an opportunity where our city could actually add more parking through multi-level parking, multi-level use of those parking lots, the city partner with a developer or developers for some of our parking, our heavily used parking lots, to build maybe multi-level parking that the city would own, so that would be part of the partnership, but also have a developer potentially add other business opportunities. We could have a hotel, a small hoteling opportunity, and multi-use condos, which could be business and or for stay. That could also be of value to our city to bring more people into our city, add more business opportunities, and then also add multi-level parking, which I think would be a value and not a short-term goal, but somewhat of a longer-term goal. But it's not something that we could turn over tomorrow. So I'm recommending just a consideration of thinking of our city parking lots as more than just what they are today, but where is our city going, and how do we accommodate the new businesses coming in, especially if we're requiring them to determine how are they going to accommodate their customers, as well as our city is growing. So I encourage our our legislature, our mayor, and our citizens to think about how do we do this better and how do we prepare today for what's coming down the road. And I believe it's not if, but when. Thank you.
Kim, I appreciate it, Ms. Byrne. I have a couple comments that are going to lead you in the right direction here, just on past history. Recent past history in our committee, we've discussed this back and forth. With the number of businesses that have moved into the town recently, it's a new problem. It's a good problem to have, not enough parking. Because, and like you mentioned, if we do get increased businesses like the coffee shop and other things that come in, there's going to be demand for the little parking we have. There's a zoning requirement that this committee, I think we even voted on it, that needs to be revisited, and you can help in that before we go forward. The zoning requirement, and Howard be able to fill you in, is our zoning code is meant for a town that can build a location with off-street parking. It's not meant for a town that predates automobiles. So that needs to be tweaked. I know the entire committee was in support of that being tweaked. I know the committee was in support of paid parking, but I think that needed to be tweaked first. But you can definitely lead the way out of zoning for that. And I would fully support figure out a way to fee structure parking because the demand is there. But I think the zoning thing needs to be repealed. And it comes down to this. It's either the community wants lots of businesses or they want a lot of parking. You can't have both. So if we have a lot of businesses, we're not going to have a lot of parking. So if parking is going to be a premium, then we can charge for parking. But we recently passed a residential permit parking only in front of homes only. But I think the parking lots are exactly what you're talking about. At one time, I know there's a couple aldermen I know Alderman Steve-O's on here. We had metered parking in town here. And that went away when we were losing all our businesses. There was no reason to even have it anymore. But there could be a way for that to come back if the demand is there. And it seems like the demand is growing, like you mentioned in your letter. So I would revisit that zoning. If we can eliminate that zoning or retweak it, maybe eliminate's a harsh word, retweak that zoning that is mandatory, designating parking, and that's why we're running into these issues with the coffee shop and affiliates, and just say it's a paid lot. And it's or figure out a valet system. It's on the business to figure out their parking. How do you feel about those thoughts, Ms. Byrne?
I like that. I think it's that's some of the thinking that we've been thinking as well. And that is one of the things as it relates to valet parking that we are encouraging. Affiliates, for example, there's a requirement potentially for that whole retail space really for about 91 parking spaces, which is takes up the whole parking lot. So we're trying to apportion some of it, but we can't assign it. So, I'm trying to come up with how do we deal with this and more parking needs that are being, needed with the new the new ordinance that you all put through, that only allows residents to park on these streets. I think it's going to start squeezing things, and it's going to cause people who want to park in our city to say, well, we can't park on the street. There's not enough parking in the parking lots. What do we do? I mean, there's parking in the Metro, but Metro is really most convenient only for that end of the city.
Yeah, and the residential parking, I mean, I modeled it off of, and we talked, went through multiple committees, how the city of Chicago has residential parking, but only in front of residential addresses, not the entire street, and only certain streets. So it actually only affected, I believe, the ordinance, 30 homes. I think 30 homes you can't park in front of. It's actually not a lot because it's only 3 or 4 houses on some of those streets, only 2 east of Western and a little piece of Gregory. But I agree. Majority of this letter, I agree that something needs to be done with the parking. It's been an ongoing discussion in the committee, and I applaud your effort on bringing this. I'd like to see zoning, if you can get a quorum, which hopefully now you can, to tackle the issue and make some suggestions so we can get this stuff done. So I appreciate it. Thank you for submitting the letter, and let's keep in contact to see how we can help.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
Alderman Zylman, I do like the idea of the afternoon, charging people in the afternoon. You said something like that. The meters or something in the afternoon or later in the evening or something.
Yeah, so my consideration was basically it's open parking between, the early hours in the morning until about 6 o'clock at night. That's most people are, in the business area are probably not working there anymore. It's now you're starting to enter the evening hours and the evening entertainment sort of facilities like the Vault, Ravens, the bars, bowling, etc. So to really either have a very light touch in parking during the day, which can be considered and reviewed, but really start targeting the night parking, because I think our city is really starting to become more of a night city. We're starting at least at the end that I mentioned. So
And Old Western down by me has been a nightlife part of town for the last 20 years, with the exception of Pepin's Hardware that was there. It's no parking there's plenty of parking during the day, but at night, especially when we still had the maple tree, and I grew up on Canal Street there, you couldn't park anywhere in this neighborhood. So, and we've been dealing with it for a while, and it seemed to work because it's a different taste down here. It was all bars and restaurants, and people are used to finding parking. It's like going into the city. But I agree, and I like I said, is there any other Alderman comments? Otherwise, we're going to go to the next agenda item.
It's
Yes.
Alderman Mech. Sorry.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Alderman Mech, and then Alderman Alexander, I think.
Okay, thank you. We always look at Evanston, and Evanston about 20 years ago had a huge issue with growth and parking. And they went ahead and they found funding to do a multi-tiered parking structure, and it turned their city around greatly. So I all for it and move things forward. Thank you for bringing this to the council's attention, or the committee's attention. Thank you.
thank you. That's kind of my perception as well. To have either a multi-tier parking, but maybe even new structure that would follow our old structure kind of architectures, but and something new for our city. I think that would be a fantastic idea. Thank you for your thought.
Alderman Alexander, I think.
Yes, I was going to say that I know we talked about this previously about the parking paid meters. But we also ran into the problem of if we do by some way get the parking meters, that who would then monitor these parking meters? So I think that's something you have to think about as well.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that I'm Alderman Carr suggested I speak at the Public Health and Safety to start having a conversation maybe with the police and fire and those folks, and see what their contributions on this might be as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alderman Johnson.
Chairman, yes.
Yes.
We spoke about having two-tier parking lots. I think we was doing some investigating on over there at Harry's Lawn, that parking lot right there with the when we had Robinson Engineering drill down, find out about how stable it is. But second of all, I think it's kind of unfair to try to charge the businesses at night when the businesses that day, park for free. You know what I'm saying? And maybe take in consideration that all businesses use that parking lot or a parking lot, and have everybody contribute for the upkeep and things of that nature for the parking lot. But I'm in favor of metered parking as well.
Alderman Johnson, I agree. And I think once the major rework is done with the zoning, all these little details would have to be hammered out between our two committees. So I think it's a lot of work going forward, but we have to start somewhere. So let's move on to number 3. It was already approved through, I think, municipal and city council last night. So we can skip number 3. Number 4, discussion and approval for Blue Bridge Properties, a real estate letter of intent in purchasing property, which is at 13313 Rexford Street. Mark Miller.
How are you, folks?
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, I received a couple of bids regarding that property, and that property's been an eyesore for quite some time.
20 years at least. Yep.
Yeah, at least 20 years. There was a bid that came in actually at the appraised value, which was $25,000. Another bid came in, it was only at 15. 25. One bid is Blue Bridge Properties, 135 LLC. interested in purchasing it and rehabbing it and putting it back on the market.
Any questions from the alderman?
Was
there a
that the
motion?
only bid?
No, he said there was multiple, at least two, right, Mark?
Okay. There were two. One was at 15 and one came in at the appraisal at 25.
At 25. Okay, sorry, I missed that.
And just to clarify, it's down the street from my house. It's a landlocked house. There's no driveway, there's no alley, and there's no garage. It's literally like,
Oh, that place.
it's a 20-foot lot. You're familiar with it. It's behind Maple Tree.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's only a 1-bedroom house technically. There's no money on the bone. So whatever they're doing, I don't know if they're going to live there themselves, but that house has been empty for 20 years. It's got many issues. I was surprised someone actually bid on it. So is there a motion to approve?
Hawley.
Is there a second?
Mech,
Any question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Number 5. Mark, you're up again. Discussion and approval for the Samco Building Corp., a real estate letter of support for a Class 6B incentive located at 2347 West 136th Street.
Right. Samco's been there for a long time. It's a minority-owned business. He sells real estate or he services real estate, I'm sorry, in the Chicagoland area. He's been at it forever. He also has I don't know if anybody's familiar with the place, but he sells new and used restaurant equipment at the site. Does a nice business there, wants to stay there, obviously. And his tax incentive came up, so he'd like to renew it and be around for a while.
Any questions?
Okay.
No, I make a motion.
Motion by Alderman Johnson. Is there a second?
Second, Zylman.
Second by Cantelo. Any questions?
Is the property, does it look good? Is there anything we need to ask? Because we've had in the past or recently, we've been asking property owners to take some of this to make some improvements.
I know. I've been there, and Alderman Johnson can answer too. I've been there because I purchased things for St. Donatus Carnival, and it's pretty well maintained. I know with other properties. Alderman Johnson, do you have a comment on that? You probably are more familiar with it.
No, he keeps his property up pretty decent.
Yeah,
Okay.
He does.
I think they're from town actually, because I met the daughter. I think they're not from town. They were from town originally. So
they're from the area. The owner lives next to Beverly.
They're where?
They're in Beverly.
Yep.
Yeah, I know the daughter. I had a conversation with not that long ago. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So
And then they hired a couple Blue Islanders too. So
good. All right. So motion made. There was a question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Number 6, discussion and approval for car wash conceptual site plan, 12250 Southwestern Avenue. I'll start off with this because I lost my eyesight looking at this, Mark and Tom. But I think I get the gist of it. You're rearranging. Cars are still coming off Western, but they're gonna go enter from the rear, the east side, and come out on Western again. Is that correct?
That's correct. And primarily he wants to reverse the way they enter and exit because the dryers are what's really making the noise. It's not so much the music for drying the car.
Tommy knows I'm there probably at least once a week washing my car. So I like the layout. I like the layout. So and this would be the proposed alley connecting the commercial alley behind Tommy's, connecting it to the alley to the other side, right? So
yes, but it also includes he'll put up a large fence as a sound barrier back there too. So
okay. How about trees? Any trees out of this deal? I'd love to get some trees around the Western Avenue side if we can.
We can take a look at it.
And we can reimburse some of those trees out of the business district funds. I know Mr. Pett is familiar with it.
Sure.
If I could fit trees in, I'll put a tree or as many trees as I can fit.
Did you want to say anything, Tommy?
Well, I could say a little bit. I mean, I've owned Tower Car Wash since 1977. Last remodel we did was in 1992. I try to maintain my properties and keep them up and try to have a good appearance of all my properties in town. I have a permit pending right now with the building department, okay, for 12250, which is actually on the west side of the street. You guys got the address wrong. I'm 12225 with this property.
Yeah.
You know, to do some brickwork and change our lentils, okay, which needs some attention. But anyway, this is, you know, our idea here, okay, is you know, to bring our car wash into the future. And you know, my son is here. He's 25 years old. He's going to be taking over the business eventually, and hopefully I can take it easy. But so this whole concept is to keep my customers. You know, one of the reasons, one of the benefits to the city of this and the residents, okay, would be I would be keeping my customers out of the alley, and you know, and the traffic out of the alley, the trash out of the alley. You know, right now, okay, somebody goes back there to drive their car and they blare their radio, and you know, I can put, I just put up all new signs, okay, for radios. A lot of people are nice about it. When we hear it, we go and we ask them, but some people get downright belligerent, you know, and so, you know, we're trying. This, I think, will alleviate most of the problems. So that would be the benefit to the city. I don't think the city's losing anything.
No, I like the plan. Even you mentioned across the street, I'm a big tree person and business district person. If there's any way we can fit into some landscaping or some trees, you know, we'll pay 75% towards that, up to $10,000 at each address. If we can get some trees, then that would make the council pretty happy and the city pretty happy. Some more landscaping or something you could do, Tom, whatever you can do. I know you applied for, we paid for, we helped with the dumpsters, which was great. You know, they look great. You could run a truck through them probably, and they're still going to be standing. So if you could do anything like that, I think the council and the committee would be happy.
Well, I have Sean Thompson here. He's my contractor, and he's actually the guy that drew the plan there. And you know, we'll see what we can do as far as putting some green space in.
That would be awesome, especially along the western side, and if you can across the self-serve too on the other side of Western there. Again, we'd help pay for that, and you know, just like you did with the dumpsters, each address qualifies for a separate application. So whatever we can do. I'm going to make a motion for this, and then unless the Alderman have any questions before we go?
No, but I'll second it.
All right. All right, motion's made and seconded. Is there on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks. Thanks, Tom.
So the next step is to work with Mark or the building department to get the actual plans drawn up, and
I would highly suggest you work with Mark primarily, and then Mark will help you guide it through to the building department.
perfect.
All right, number 7, 7 and 8 are both with Eric. I don't think we need to do 8, right, Eric? I think that's just a repeat from another agenda.
Let me check which one's number 8. 1 second.
I think you gave us amounts already and stuff. I think it's on the burner here.
So number 8, Alderman or Chairman Bilotto, just wanted to review with the committee that those cost estimates for the reroute of the Cazares Trail along Vermont Street. I don't think we've talked to the committee since those cost estimates have been developed.
Okay, all right. So we'll start back from 7. Discussion and approval of 2020 ITEP grant funding. And before you get into it, Eric, I read your proposal. I love the median refuge island picture you put on here because it has trees. All right. And I like the lanes and I like the speedometers, the solar powered radar speed signs. Is there a way to prioritize the stuff, or you just threw it all on here? There's no priority, what you have on here.
There is a way, like what I wanted to talk to you all about was basically this is the last time we have before the grant applications due to adjust the scope. So if there was a priority or there's something in that list that we want to add or delete, that this is kind of the time before we apply for that grant.
Well, all right, I'll let you go into your spiel. But I like it. I like you took into effect most of the alderman's comments and concerns that are feasible. Some things we couldn't do, so we took out, but go ahead. And if you want to go briefly or what you got here.
Sure. Okay, great. So what we're talking, this is the Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program. It's federal money to improve pedestrian and bicycling facilities. We feel like Blue Island has a strong application for improving along Western Avenue, basically to make it more pedestrian friendly. So there'll be improved crosswalks all along Western between 127th Street and 119th Street, which you could kind of see in those pictures or diagrams. So there'll be better crosswalk striping, raised islands wherever we can, improve pedestrian signals at 127th Street so they have countdown timers and leading pedestrian intervals. I don't know if you all are familiar with that, but basically it gives the pedestrians a chance to make their way across before it starts the vehicles. And then on Vincennes, between 127th and 119th Street, we'll be looking to restripe Vincennes for traffic calming, to add bike lanes, and to add a center turn lane. It's come up a number of times that there's speeding issues on Vincennes. There's a number of schools there, and that's about. And I forgot to mention we're going to do a few, as many I guess cost will permit, radar speed signs along Western and Vincennes too. So
and also. Eric, we also don't want to forget, is there a separate application? The committee, remember we made recommendations where we need speed monitors throughout the town. You said it was through a school district possible thing in the fall?
Yep, so that's, Alderman Bilotto, that's right. That's the Safe Routes to School program. It's another federal grant program. That one covers 100% of engineering and construction costs. So I would like to keep as much as we can in that.
Okay.
I haven't seen the call for projects yet. They have come out every year in the fall. I don't know, for the past 5 or 10 years since I've been keeping a track of them. But this is a very strange year, so I don't know if that application is delayed or what. But to answer your question, yes, we are anticipating separately, and we have a bit of a plan drawn up in front of all the school routes to add some radar flashing speed signs as well.
Okay. Any question from the alderman?
I know Gregory's one way and there's parking. Is there any way to add continue the bike lane thing down Gregory or up Gregory?
Yes, Alderman Hawley. So south of 127th Street, there are plans to continue the bike lanes down Gregory as part of the Western Avenue two-way project. So that's kind of why it ends there.
All right, great.
Okay, cool.
Any other alderman? If not, I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
O'Mill, second it.
Seconded by Cantelo. On the question, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, Eric, we got
Alderman
the CalSag reroute.
Alderman Bilotto, there was one additional thing I wanted to talk to regarding the ITEP. So
Yep.
The maximum grant amount is about $2 million. I don't typically recommend going for absolutely the maximum grant amount. I feel like that doesn't always help our cause because I feel like they like to pick from a number of projects rather than, just a few really big ones. That's just me. I don't know. That's been my experience. But one thing I was hoping to talk to you all about and get your opinion on is coming and going throughout my time here working in Blue Island has been the idea of a streetscape program along Western Avenue, along Western Avenue amongst other streets. But I wanted to get the committee's opinion on possibly incorporating, as budget would permit, some of those like sidewalk and paving improvements into this ITEP grant. Again, not trying to absolutely maximize the budget so we don't get picked, but whatever we think is feasible.
I think, Eric, and this is the biggest issue, I think, was sidewalks north of 127th Street was the most expensive issue. And that would be the easiest to say yes. That would be the safety, aesthetically, and that would be the easiest issue. I think spending money in the actual right-of-way of blacktop crosswalks, I said it before, I'm not in favor of it because we don't own the street, but the sidewalks, by all means, I think if we can get money to replace some sidewalks, I think it should be done, especially where it's 2 or 3 layers high north of 127th Street.
Right. I know that's an issue with the stepped or tiered sidewalks. So I'm kind of hoping to sort of identify some real problem areas there, and hopefully, as the budget allows, knock some of those out, at least, you know, as part of this application. Who knows? If we get it, it'll be great, you know?
I agree.
Yep.
Okay.
All right,
great.
we made the motion. All right, so next, we're already done with this. Next number is number 8, the CalSag reroute. You got updated figures?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Okay, let me pull that one up. Thank you. Too many things going on here. Righto. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. So we've been asked to look into along Vermont Street, a possible reroute of the CalSag Trail. I know we've discussed this at community development a couple of times, so won't go too much into detail, but basically between the bridge where it crosses over, where Wyerton becomes Vermont, and then it's the newly striped CalSag Trail starts to narrow to a point where there's not even dedicated bike lanes anymore. There's sharrows. The committee asked us to question the safety of those shared lanes and asked us to look into a reroute along Stony Brook Lane, Grove Street, and then coming back up Artesian to at least minimize the amount of on-street time that people riding on the CalSag Trail have to experience. We looked at it in some detail. I went out there. I looked at the condition of the streets, and we counted up how many signs we would need, how much striping we would need, etc. And basically, the actual striping and signing of a reroute would be very minimal. I calculated it likely on the cost around $19,000, which is under the MF motor fuel tax guidance, the Illinois Department of Transportation guidance for projects that have to go out to bid. So that could be done very inexpensively through a RFQ process. However, a few of the streets are in fairly poor condition, and in my opinion would require resurfacing before we realistically should look at putting up a bike path on them. It's Grove Street between Ann Street. Let me get it here.
An Artesian.
Thank you, Alderman Hawley. And then Artesian also, I think, is in pretty poor condition between Grove Street and Vermont. So, okay. So basically the striping and the signing is very inexpensive. Stony Brook Lane's in pretty good condition. If we wanted to incorporate this as part of a project, we could resurface it or just crack seal it to keep it, in good condition. But Grove Street, especially between Ann and coming around Artesian, including Artesian, I think are in condition that you would want to resurface them before that. Adding all those costs up, I could just read them out, but like all those streets included is about $366,000 in resurfacing. Taking out Stony Brook Lane, which again is in pretty good condition, it's about $40,000 less, so maybe $325,000. So I just wanted to get everybody's opinion on that. That would be, I would presume, available through funding through the business district. As it's due with the CalSag Trail, I don't know. I want to talk to everybody about it.
It's not tied to the business district.
No.
Yeah, it's not even in the boundaries. It's not in a TIF, is it, Eric or Mark?
No, I don't think it's part of the TIF. I thought
No,
that's
it's not part of the TIF.
Vermont Street was business district, but I must be wrong.
So here's my idea with it. We already have a map of the hierarchy of what streets are worse than others, whatever, and a lot of them are all in the same condition. I would say when we plan our next set of projects that are not TIF, and I think that might be CDGB eligible though, South Vermont Street, if I'm not mistaken.
Question.
Last time I looked at the map, but I think we can look at possibly if it's CDBG, maybe for 2022. But either way, prioritize it higher than other streets in the same condition just to solve the problem with the CalSag Trail, I think would be a good idea. On the other hand, we don't have the money just straight out of the kitty to pay $300-some thousand to resurface the street right now. So right. I'm appreciating you getting the prices. It definitely is something to look at. But I think if it's CDBG eligible, we should go that route for the following year because I think you already applied for next summer. And if not, even for the following year. We can budget it because we spent, I think, 300 some thousand this year completely out of the general fund for road repair for the streets by Eisenhower. So it's doable, and it would kill two birds with one stone of fixing a part of the Cal-Sag Trail issue and resurfacing some badly needed streets. So I think maybe we just higher the priority of the streets we're doing in question, and we keep it on not on the actual agenda, but we keep it on the burner to get back to. But it's less than what I thought when you scared me with repaving streets, because that's Artesian, Grove, Stony Brook, 300 some thousand. That's, the curbs are probably pretty good in most of that.
Right, and Stony Brook is all. It's doable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Stony Brook's in pretty good shape, which brings the cost down by a lot,
Yeah. Alderman, have any questions or concerns on this?
So you said not doing the Stony Brook part knocks 45,000 off the 366, right? What's the 146? Oh, just doing those two blocks, but does not do Artesian, right?
Right.
146,000.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Exactly, Alderman Hawley. Yep.
Okay. And I agree. If we're going to do outside of Stony Brook, I would do Artesian and Grove because they need to be done anyway.
Yeah.
Especially the amount of traffic Artesian gets,
Yeah. When you were down there, was there a lot of parking on Grove on that side of the street, or is it? I know a lot of them have small driveways, but they're very small driveways.
You know what? I wasn't paying too much attention to the parking.
Most of the parking. So I've been in that area recently for the handicap situation. The few cars that park on Grove on the section that goes up the hill are on the south side of the street. So if we had the trail on the north side of the street, it has that big embankment. No one really parks on that side of the street. I don't know if there's a rule for what side of the street the trail has to go on, but if we're talking only the north side of Grove, hardly any cars park on that strip. I think it wouldn't be an issue like we have on Vermont Street, though.
Right, and I think
less of an issue.
What we could do in Bilotto with something like that is, so I think probably those small residential streets are appropriate for like shared lanes. So we can stripe the shared lanes down and keep the parking.
Keep the parking,
I would imagine.
Yeah. Okay. No, I appreciate it. Any other questions? Otherwise, we're moving to the marketing report. Oh no, we got library. Eric, anything else?
That's all from me. Thank you, everybody.
Keep us appraised, Eric, of this the ITEP grant funding.
Okay.
So,
all right. Will do. Thanks.
All right, Anna from the library. I'm going to open up saying I 100% this. This should be a no-brainer. Go ahead if you want to give a little spiel on it.
All the library really wants is permission from the city to remove the asphalt on the parkways along York. It's in poor condition. We would like to replace it with trees and landscaping. I'd like to seek funding possibly from the Illinois Monarch Foundation, or I think the Illinois Extension had some different opportunities that we could use for landscaping, possibly with native plants, or even community garden space. Mr. Sandino had suggested we might be able to do some raised planters, which would be a great idea. So if I have permission from the city, I'd like to go ahead and seek funding for that.
Any questions or comments from the alderman, or does someone want to make a motion?
Love the idea.
Motion, Mech.
Motion made by Mech. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alexander. Any questions? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Great.
Hey, Alderman Bilotto, this is Eric again. Just a quick question. What block of Grove Street are we talking about here?
Alpha Stony Brook.
Or sorry, York Street? York Street?
York, you mean the library?
Oh, by the library.
The library, yeah.
All right, cool.
2433.
Thanks. No, I was just wondering because we're planning to work on York Street as part of that TIF project that got canceled. So I was just wondering if we were over there, but we're not. Okay.
All right. All right. Next up, we got marketing report. Ms. Brown.
Hello. Hi, Alderman. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. So this is the report for September. For the last about 6 months, I've been breaking down our activity with specifically for coronavirus and any COVID response. And that was to take advantage of funding and reimbursements that we might get on a federal and state level. So now that those periods are over, we're just back to we're still working on coronavirus and COVID communications, but we're not kind of separating those out and tracking those. So the report looked a little different this month, kind of like what it used to be, running through September. We did draft the weekly coronavirus employee updates that are sent each Friday to the staff. We just filmed one coronavirus update from Chief Rita. So that was posted to the city website, YouTube, Channel 4, and Facebook. We did film 2 video messages with Chief Rita for Fire Prevention Week, which was last week. And those were shared to the city website and YouTube, Channel 4, and Facebook. We're pretty much updating blueisland.org daily with just different information and events that are happening in the area, resources. September was a kind of an average month in terms of traffic. So far for October, we're trending up, probably in the top. I think we're 4th in the history of the website right now is in terms of traffic free for the month so far. So I think we're going to end up with a pretty good month. We created a monthly newsletter that was distributed in the water bills, and of course updated the city Facebook page with information and community alerts. So that's really about it. I did include the traffic estimator that we've been looking at Blue Island's traffic versus other local municipalities, including Alsip, Midlothian, Palos, Calumet Park, and Homewood. And every month, Blue Island's at the top in terms of website traffic. So, and by a lot usually. So we'll kind of continue to keep an eye on that. And then, of course, as you guys know, you ruined Halloween. So we got that, I'm teasing. We got that message out today. So that's probably why you started to get some calls about that. That went out on the website, on Facebook, and in a smart 911 message. Any questions?
I was just curious, what brought up the newsletter article about the off-road stuff on roads? Is there a problem with that? I haven't seen anything like that. I just thought it was a weird thing to have on the thing.
Yeah, we've had a couple different wards. I know down here there was a lot of them, and I think in the 7th ward by Eisenhower, there was a lot of 4-wheelers and dirt bikes.
Okay.
More than I've seen in my entire life down here, especially. They were going to Rock Island with them, driving past there. I mean, not even next to a forest preserve. Growing up down here, you hear them sometime in the forest preserve, but they're up and down the streets constantly. And I think it was Alderman Klinker, 7th ward had some major issues with them too. So it says people at home got time, cheap gas, cheap wheels, just to goof around, I guess.
Great.
Any other Alderman questions for Ms. Brown? All right, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Next, we have the Building Department report, Mr. Sandino.
Hello, yes, hello, everyone. Yes, I submitted the report. I believe everyone's got the message. And well, one thing I could say is that even with the pandemic, the way the building department is going, the revenue that is you see on the sheet is way beyond the previous building department that was headed out there. So we actually looking forward to surpass what was done in the previous years at the building department. So, and that goes for overall, not only revenue coming in, but also building permit, the different levels. We have increased quite a lot. Next meeting, I will have a chart and I will show you how much we have improved in our building department from the previous years that was administered.
Did you, Mr. Sandino, did you get a response yet about the dumpster at the Rock Island Public House, what the issue was?
No, I have not. No, I didn't get any information on that. The only thing is that we're not, regarding the trash enclosure, we're not really enforcing in that full capacity that we were thinking because of, some people might have some problem with the economic situation. So we are kind of, going along with it, the one who can be able to do it will do it. The one that have a little difficulty, we'll give him, we'll give him time.
Yeah, and I think when I sent you the picture, it specifically said their dumpster, they didn't like the location of the dumpster, even though it's always been in the same spot on their private property. So that was the concern. They don't understand there is the regulations of where a dumpster needs to be because it's on their property. It's been on their same spot for years. And I went to see it. It wasn't like there was garbage hanging out of it. There was garbage on next to it. It was a dumpster that was closed. So I just let me know as soon as possible because the business is concerned.
Yeah,
So
I have met with several different building owner, business owner, because some of them they have the problem with okay, it doesn't fit on our site. But I also have contact with the waste management people, and they already have sites or to give them. So we're trying to give more information to them and be able to go forward where help them. Actually, we're helping them where we can locate the dumpster, something where it's feasible for them also to move around and then be able to get to it every time they need to throw the trash.
Okay, keep me posted on that. The business is waiting for a response, so just let me know.
I sure will.
And then I have another one for roosters. Has the health inspector gone out and has anything been done with the rooster issues in town?
She already had gone. So let me find out from her because she was on vacation. She returned today, and I know she did some visit to certain people and issue some information about the how many animals they can have and no rooster allowed in the city. So I'll keep you posted on that one and give information on the next time.
Okay. All right. Any other aldermen with questions for the building department? All right, Mr. Andino, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. I have nothing else. Is there any alderman concerns for the good of the order? I'll leave with one thing. The garbage cans we ordered. Alderman Johnson, you had something?
Yeah, you can go ahead, Chairman.
All right, Alderman, the garbage cans we ordered are another week or so from delivery. And I spoke to several social media people that have been cleaning up garbage throughout town, and they've offered some locations. Jim has offered some locations, and we've already surpassed the amount that we ordered. So it looks like we're probably needing to order another group because remember, we have no garbage cans north of 127th, nor do we have any on Old Western. So we're probably going to leave the majority of the ones that are still decent to look at for the winter south of 127th, and then probably try to replace those in the spring with another order. So as soon as these come in and they get placed, I'll probably need to get some input from you guys, and we'll probably have to place another order because it looks like it takes several months now to get these garbage cans. The Dollar Tree installed 2 brand new ones right when they walk out of the building. Hopefully that'll solve the problem. They just showed up yesterday. They're green. They match their color scheme at least. They look like ours. They're the iron ones. They're decent to look at. Hopefully that'll solve the issue with the Dollar Tree garbage in the parking lot. And when I drove around the back, it wasn't that bad. So either they just got picked up or they're keeping up with it. I still have not gone inside of it, but man, that parking lot was filled with cars. So they must be getting a lot of business. They planted the 2 new trees we requested in the front. I think they're red oak trees, but the trees they planted on 127th Street are already dead because they planted them in July without any water or support. So they probably need to replant those. Doran's Landscaping, I'm gonna plan to meet with them for a year-end discussion of how their 2 locations went. So if you have any suggestions for the Gregory location that they maintained and their entrance to Old Western, please let me know. I already discussed with Val Kehoe and got her opinion. The Triangle, I think we need to hold off even further now because IDOT has staged in that triangle, at least the southern half of it. And when I was talking to one of the workers outside my back door, they said they're planning, when they move the lanes over to the other side, they're planning to stage there permanently on the triangle because it is their property. So I think we should mess with replanting, just keep maintaining how we've been doing with just weed management and stuff, because I think anything we put in there is just going to be torn up until this bridge project is completed.
Yeah.
Being said, I'd like us to do the post office parking lot and the few odds and ends that we discussed earlier. I'll talk it over with Doran's and see if those RFQs hold because we went out already for them. If they hold, I'll bring them back to the committee and it'll be an easy process. But I'd like to do the plantings of the post office parking lot next, and then the management of the few other ones in town, the little bit of grass, tree areas that they have. So if the committee has any suggestions, please email me or text me, and I plan to meet with them by next week. And also the areas they already been maintaining, like Gregory and Old Western, they got to do some tree trimming. They never did the mulch like we asked for, even though it wasn't in the contract. I'm going to stress that for next year. So if you have any suggestions, please send them to me. I think that's all I got. Alderman Johnson, you said you had something?
Yeah, I wanted to know, Alderman Bilotto, about the businesses that has been sprinkled and that they're charging, what they're getting charged per month for a system that they're not using. You know, it's not.
So
being,
I heard your comments last night, and I, just from my experience, and maybe Ahmed can answer if he's on here. If not, we have to, I think Ahmed's still on here. I believe businesses, you talk about water sprinkler for fire, correct? Just to clarify.
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. So I believe it's only if the business is vacant and a new business change of use happens that it has to be sprinkled. So for example, like a clothing store becomes a restaurant, they would have to be sprinkled. This was all explained to me when I was in the middle of purchasing a commercial property in town under the previous inspector. I haven't talked to Ahmed, but I would assume they're going under the same international building code. But Ahmed's still on the line. Did you want to answer Alderman Johnson's concerns? I don't know if you need more clarification, but basically he wants to know the criteria of what businesses need to be sprinkled, and are they paying? I'm sorry, Chairman. It was basically the businesses that's already sprinkled that's being there's not
charged.
a lot. Yeah.
Right, but they're being charged every month for a system they don't use. I can understand if they're being charged if they purge the system or test the system. But
Yes.
that's just like having a bucket of water, right? There's a full bucket of water. You're not adding anything to it. And you're not taking anything away. Why they should be charged per month? You know what I'm saying?
Asked that, you also asked about what businesses, maybe it was just to me personally, but you asked what businesses need to do it and what ones don't. I don't think Ahmed.
Right, and that was a question as well, Chairman.
I don't have the answer for that one either. I would think that's a municipal water department issue. I don't know. I'd like to know myself, because you're right. If the water system, there hasn't been a fire and they haven't tested, there's no water going through it, and it's a separate meter, I don't think they should be charged, but I don't know the details of it. So I agree. I don't know if Ahmed would know the answer. Ahmed, would you know the answer to any of that?
No, Chairman, no, apparently, no, I don't. I have to, like you said, it's got to be with the water department.
Yeah.
I have to get into it.
So I would like to know the answer to that too, Mr. Johnson. So if you want to, please include me in your communication to the water department, because I'd like to know the answer to that too.
Sure will.
All right. Any other alderman concerns? If not, we need a motion to adjourn.
Right
Is there
here.
a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Alderman Alexander, is there a second? I heard Cantelo, then Mech. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting over 8 o'clock sharp.
Ever.
Any concerns, email it to me about the Doran's landscaping or anything, any garbage issues, but I'll keep the committee abreast of when that stuff's coming in. So I'll see you guys next month.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
See ya.
Thank you.